Good morning, church. You have a seat. Okay. Might be here for a little while. You might be get tired of standing. This morning, church, I give honor to God for giving me the strength that I have, to our covering, Bishop Jacqueline E. McCullough, and to our very own pastor, Reverend Dr. Maria Seaman, in her absence, for knowing my strengths and stretching me to fully use these strengths. Pastor Seaman, I know you are tuning in, so I'm going to do my best to go on for what you have going to do with me in my preparation for this message. Just a little quick 2-minute testimony. For all those that have stood behind this pulpit, you all, I'm sure, have had challenges and obstacles that have tried to come in while you prepare up here. Mine came with my wife. I was some medical issues. Satan just got in, and I couldn't study. I couldn't get it together for quite some time. But I realized that it was because of my own personal road I was traveling. I wasn't allowing God to guide me. And once I did, I was able to complete the task and have this sermon for you. As you know, we are in our men's month at Shekinah, and I've been assigned to give the fourth sermon of this month, but the third on the book of Judges. The topic of this year's men's month is the strength of a man. You heard Elder Seaman read the scripture, Judges 15, 1-10, and I just want to read just one verse of that scripture, verse 2, which reads, "And her father said, I verily thought that thou hadst utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of me." My topic today is strength sterling. In 1977, my wife now, that's a long time ago, 77. I won't count the years, but it's a long time, introduced me to this game called badminton. I never played it, seen it, and couldn't even spell it properly first. I had a G in the word badminton. Badminton, I was calling it. But I played a lot of cricket and table tennis in my early days, in my youth, and I was pretty good at both of those sports. Technically good in cricket from my father and family's history, and I played a lot of table tennis in school. So I knew I could play this racket sport called badminton. I knew that. Once I learned the basics, I played a lot of my early badminton in Somerset Primary School, to be exact. They only had one court. You had to wait to play. You had to take your turns and sit out. And I was getting a little concerned. I wanted to play and play and play. I quickly got better at the sport and became unbeatable. I was undefeated. Chas was out. I was a guy in Somerset. I was a guy. And I was wanting more of a challenge. My strength in badminton was consistency, accuracy, a good mover, and a very tactful, very thoughtful, thinking person. I was looking for more people to conquer. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best in badminton. So I went to BAA Gym, which is the badminton capital in Bermuda. And when I was there, I first went there, I saw they had 4 courts for a lot of people. So I had more opportunity to play, could stay on the court longer, and they played 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. I had to go to church Tuesdays back in the day with my wife, but she did, but I didn't. But once I got to BAA, I was quickly informed by the person in charge that I could only play badminton on Mondays and Thursdays because I was considered a C player, a beginner player, me. Coming from Somerset, beating everybody up in Somerset, I'm now classed as a beginner, C player. I could play on Mondays and Thursdays. Tuesdays were for the A and B players, or the top and intermediate players. Put it more simply, the better players than me. I thought, that's what they said, anyway. So I asked, how can I become an A player? Skip the B player part. I don't want to be a B player. I want to know how can I be an A player? But I was told I had to play the C tournament first, the B tournament, and then I could be an A player. So how do you become a B player? You had to either get into 2 finals and win 2 finals, or get in all 3 finals, whether you won any of them or not. And the reason was, if you played 2 sports of the 2 disciplines, doubles, I could have a strong partner with me to carry me, so I made it be that good. So I said, okay. So I won the Triple Crown in the C. I think I played with my wife in that first match, the first and last time my wife and I were playing together. That's why I was still married today. I wasn't married at the time, but I think if I would have continued playing with my wife, I would not have been married today. She didn't like how I played. I was very tricky or very technically and everything like that. So the first season, I won the Triple Crown in the C. And then I went to play on Tuesdays. And I asked the guy, well, how come these guys don't play with me? And they said, oh, they're A players, and they play with A players only. So how do you become an A player? And they said the same thing. I did the same thing with the Bs. So my second season, I won the B championship, Triple Crown, becoming an A player. So much so that people wanted to start playing with me more and even coach them. I felt at that time that I was the best Bermudian badminton player in Bermuda. I knew my strengths, and I was winning games easily. I was winning the whole thing, everything. Then I met this guy who is now one of my better badminton friends, but he wasn't there because he was my competitor. His strength was fitness and stamina. But I felt that my technical skills and my accuracy and consistency, that I could beat this guy. Our singles matches that we played always went 3 games. I won the first game fairly comfortably. He won the second game, but it was tougher. It was close. And the third game, he won more easily. Why do you think that was? His strength and his stamina and fitness wore me down. He made me move a lot more than other players ever did. I had to retrieve more shots than I ever did before. He overpowered me. So in my badminton life, there came one time I wasn't as invincible anymore. My strengths did not get me through. Samson was the same A player like me, or was the A player, champion of champions. Samson's strength made him feel undefeatable. However, when we step out of the will of God and rely on our own strength, we open up ourselves and we give the enemy a way to step in. As strong as Samson was, he lost his wife, and that caused him to take revenge. Samson's strength was sterling, he had stolen from him his wife, because he had given himself to this Philistine woman and would do anything for her. But she bribed him, tricked him, and he lost his strength. This is what we see with Samson. As strong as he was, as powerful as he was, he could be defeated. And they defeated him through a woman. My 3 points are: point number 1, denied. Point number 2, retaliation. And point number 3, delayed revenge. Point number 1, denied. In Judges chapter 14 that we heard during last week's message by our head elder Stephen, we heard that Samson gave a riddle to the Philistines, his Philistine friends, that only he would be able to solve. Only he would know the answer. When Samson found out that what the Philistines had used his bride, his new bride at that, to manipulate him, he became very angry. This led to the quick end of their marriage, and Samson went back to Achilan, where he killed the 30 Philistine men because he was raging mad. He said, man, that he said, if you get the answer, I will give you a reward. Why would anyone want to get a man of Samson's strength mad? Who do you know that you would not want to mess with, like something like that? During my police days, I knew of 2 brothers that took care of any person who did not pay up for the criminal ways to their supplier. Men of all sizes and ages feared these 2 brothers. And if they came looking for you, you knew that you would end up injured, beat up. They were bullies. But in the end, they never won. Samson was that bully. After Samson went on his killing spree, he left there and went to his father's house, probably to cool off, clear his head, because his wife betrayed him, his new bride. At this point, Samson did not know that his wife had been given to one of his companions. In verse 1 it says, but it came to pass within a wheat harvest that Samson visited his wife with a kid. He said, I will go into my wife into the chamber, but her father would not suffer him to go in. The Hebrew word for chamber is pronounced hader, and it means room, innermost, inward part. The Hebrew word for suffer is nathan, and it means to give, grant, permit. In some of my studies, one thought was that it was customary for, in a Philistine marriage, that the wife will continue living with her father or in her father's house and be regularly visited by the husband, who would bring a gift whenever he visited. This thought was probably because the husband was regularly out on army duty, and it would be safer for the wife to be in her family home. As far as Samson was concerned, he was legally married to the Philistine woman, and once he calmed down and had time to get over her betrayal, he went back to be with her, taking a young male goat, probably as a peace offering. Nowadays, us men have to buy jewelry, expensive jewelry. Also, Samson wanted to show his father-in-law and his new wife that they had nothing to fear anymore and that he had forgiven her. Samson wanted to go into the bedroom where he could be with his wife privately. And every married man knows that when you're away from your wife for a while, your new wife for a while, when you come back, you want to go into the room privately. But his father-in-law will not let Samson go in. Verse 2 says, and her father said, I verily thought that thou hast utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her. The Hebrew word for companion is pronounced miriah, which means friend, confidential friend, close friend. Like, Samson's father-in-law was a bit afraid of him because of his strength, and he knew what he could do when he gets a violent temper. So he said to him, you have every right to be angry with her for what she has done. So after that, I didn't think that you wanted to still with her, so I gave her to your best man. One of the many stories that my late father-in-law told me was that shortly after he got married, he had to leave his new wife and go back on the ship to work, leaving her home. She could not accompany him. I could just imagine him coming back home to be with his new wife to find out that she had been given away to his best man of his wedding. How angry would he have been? I don't know what he would have done. Samson's father-in-law failed to realize also that he had a genuine affection for his eldest daughter and tried to convince Samson to take her younger sister for his wife. His father-in-law, as we say in Bermuda, throws his wife under the bus by saying, take her sister. She's more attractive anyway, she's more attractive. Take her. Samson believed that he was married to the elder sister and knew that marriage to the younger sister was not permissible in Jewish law. Also studied from the Life Application Bible, and in Leviticus 18:18 says, do not take your wife's sister as a rival wife and have sexual relations with her while your wife is living. Point number 2, retaliation. And in verse 3, it says, and Samson said concerning them, now shall I be more blameless than the Philistines, do I do them a displeasure. Samson said, no, the Philistines can't have any reason to hate me for what our punishment that I do to them. Samson did not realize that God continues to use ungodly anger for his purpose. Hostility to God and his people gives God the opportunity to do great deeds. Through the strength of Samson's anger, this doesn't justify Samson's anger, but it shows the glory and power of God to use all things and all people to his purposes. Verse 4 says, and Samson went and caught 300 foxes and took firebrands and turned tail to tail and put a firebrand in the midst between two tails. The Hebrew word for firebrand is lapid, which means torch. Samson liked to fight and get revenge. Because he was so strong and powerful, he didn't care. He fought. But Samson made this personal wrong into a national vendetta. But God used all of Samson's strength for his purpose of fighting against the Philistines. In my study, the word foxes referred to were probably jackals. And they are known to run in very large packs, sometimes up to 200 in a pack. And were easily to catch, more easy to catch than a fox. It is not mentioned in the text that Samson caught these 300 animals by himself, or that they were all caught in one day. Did Samson bully people to help him capture these animals? Verse 5 says, when he set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standings of corn of the Philistines and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn with the vineyards and olives. Samson had to have these jackals hidden someplace in a fenced-up area until he caught all 300 of them. And also he had to find the best time to execute his plan. He also had to find 150 torches. 300 animals, two together, 150 torches. All this here, the Philistines did not have any idea what Samson was doing, what he was planning. He's probably doing right under their noses. As a warrior, Samson had to have a strategy and plan to attack his enemies when they least expected it, at night. Those things happen at night. When the time was right, Samson got the 300 jackals and tied their tails together in pairs and secured slow-burning torches to their tails. He used slow-burning torches to make sure that the torches did not burn out too quickly, and they lasted long enough to see his plan completed. Tying two wild animals by their tails was bad enough. Those wild animals just run and run. To secure a burning torch to two wild animals, first will cause pain to the animals, which will make them even more wild and more devastating. I am certain that Samson, the warrior, would have strategically placed these pairs of jackals at different parts of the different fields of the Philistines and released them at different times so that they would not run into one another and run in the same area. He wanted to make sure that he caused destruction. These animals took down everything in their path, including vineyards and olive groves. These animals destroyed the livelihood of the Philistines. Verse 6. Then the Philistines said, "Who hath done this?" And they answered, "Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite," because they had taken his wife and given to his companion. And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. Think of this for a second. God used all of this to advance his plan for Israel and redemption. But because of Samson's disobedience, it all happened at a great price. A personal cost to Samson. He lost his wife, the person who he had a genuine affection for. Verse 7 says, "And Samson said unto them, Though ye have done this, yet will I avenge of you, and after that I will cease." Here we have retaliation. Samson's going to avenge the wrong that was done by the Philistines. Retaliation is a never-ending story, and no one really wins at the end. Those of us that believe in God must say that retaliation belongs to God, so we will let him settle the score. Much of today's violence, deep-seated hatred, and pain here in Bermuda, at home, comes from people who want to retaliate. All around the world too, but it hits home, family. During my time in the police force, police service is now called, there are many times that we were called out to a fight at a nightclub or a party. Once we got there and heard the true facts of the matter, we found out that people were fighting because someone stepped on their sneakers on the dance floor. Someone bumped into them and they spilled a drink on their clothes. Nothing really, nothing major. Now it's turned to gun violence retaliation. You shoot one of my posse, we shoot one of your posse. All this is just retaliation. In the same Life Application Bible, in Matthew 5:38-42, it is explained like this. When we are wronged, often our first reaction is to get even. Instead, Jesus said we should do good to those who wrong us. Is that easy? No, definitely not. Our desire should not be to keep score, but to love and forgive. And our pastor always says, this is a loving church. We should be loving and forgive. This is not a natural thing. It is supernatural. Only God can give us the strength to love as he does. Instead of planning vengeance, pray for those who hurt you. When we do this, we act like God, who did not retaliate against you and me for our sins of rebellion. But we all know in John 3:16, he gave his only begotten Son for you and me to have everlasting life. Verse 8 says, and he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. And he went on and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. The Hebrew meaning for smote is pronounced naha, and it means to strike, to hit, to beat, to slay, or kill. Hip and thigh is an expression for a cruel, unsparing slaughter. And the word great here means a large number. I am sure some of you men here, and some women I'm sure, have seen wrestling on TV or cage fights on TV, where every and anything goes. This is similar to what Samson did. He threw them, crushed their heads on the ground, causing a lot of pain and broken bones. Dwelt in the rock of Etam means it was a small cave-like space, but big enough for somebody of Samson's physique to hide, because he could no longer trust anybody. So he hides like a fugitive. As strong as he was weakened to a place of loneliness. And my point 3 is delayed revenge. Verse 9 says, then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah and spread themselves in Lehi. The Philistines came to Judah and camped in great numbers, spreading themselves out, taking up a lot of room, waiting to attack. The enemy always wants the big numbers. They always want the big parades to show that their numbers mean more. That's how the enemy attacks you. My final verse 10 says, and the man of Judah said, why are ye come up against us? And they answered, to bind Samson are we come up, to do him as he has done to us. The leaders of Judah asked the Philistines, why have you come up against us in this hostile manner? All these people, all these guys. The man of Judah knew that they had done nothing to offend the Philistines or upset them. They submitted to their government. They paid their ways. They could not understand why this was happening. The Philistines came up to bind Samson. They said they came up to do to Samson what he had done to them. They had come to punish and kill Samson, as he had punished and killed many of their people. Church, understand that when you join with the enemy against God's will, you invite constant hardship. And in closing, let me state this. As Christians, we have to understand that God's spiritual victory does not depend on our natural strength or ability. We need to totally rely on God's enablement and strength. Refuse to build any monuments to your successes or victories. Know that they will likely become an occasion of stumbling for yourself and others. Thank you.